Management, Larry Keefe, Immigration Executive Director in Florida, General John Haas, Florida National Guard, Department of Corrections Secretary Ricky Dixon, Baker County Sheriff Scotty Roden, Bradford County Sheriff Gordon Smith, St. Johns County Sheriff Rob Hardwick, and Union County Sheriff Brad Whitehead. We had put out, there is a storm in the Atlantic. Every model has it turning and not impacting Florida or maybe even the continental U.S., depending on when it turns. We always watch these things. I'm always talking with Kevin about it. If there's anything that changes, obviously we'll be ready. But we've been watching it now for several days, and most of the models are in an agreement. Looks like it may be more of a threat for Bermuda than for certainly Florida, and it may not even impact any continental U.S. Maybe it'll do North Carolina, some of those places they get up. We'll see what happens. But we're ready to respond if that is the case. We're here today at this Baker County Correctional Facility because we're taking yet another step in supporting the important mission that President Trump was elected to implement of securing the border, enforcing immigration laws, and removing illegal aliens who are in our society now and sending them back to their home country. We have done more on this than any other state by a country mile. We're the only state in the country that requires all state and local law enforcement agencies to participate in ICE operations. We have that as a requirement of our state law based on the legislation that I pushed for earlier this year. Jay Collins, as a state senator, was with us fighting against attempts to impose sanctuary policies in Florida. Thankfully, that didn't end up happening, and we got very strong immigration enforcement legislation. Now, we've been at this for a long time, banning sanctuary cities early in my term. When Biden came in and opened the border, we sent people down to Texas at the border there to help them. When there were gaps in the maritime interdiction, we launched Operation Vigilant Sentry. They've interdicted 18,000 illegal aliens at sea, just us, not even including all the many more that the Coast Guard has gotten, and we're able to repatriate them to their home countries. We've also had transport programs, send to New York, send to California, and even send to Martha's Vineyard. And these are sanctuary jurisdictions. They like to squawk about having more illegal immigration in their communities, and yet when they're faced with it, a lot of times they get upset that they're having to deal with it. We do not provide benefits like identification cards, driver's license, and then even under my tenure, we repealed the in-state tuition for illegals that had been put in last decade, and that was something that the legislature stepped up and did, so I appreciate them doing that. So as we got into this, we were the first state to do any 287G agreements with our state agencies back in January. We've been working hard. We're on these task force with DHS and with ICE. A lot of illegal aliens can get rounded up. I mean, that's just the nature of the problem because you've had so many come in. We know in Florida there's anywhere from 50 to 100,000 that already have final orders of removal. So they're in our country illegally. They've already gone through the process and they've been ordered to be removed, and yet nothing had happened. So we're very keenly aware of that and working to correct that. So these 287G agreements formalize these relationships and allow us to conduct immigration enforcement operations. I mean, think about the Highway Patrol. When Biden was in, you could have an illegal alien driving drunk on the highway. And, you know, we have Rep. Michaels here. Her son was killed by a previously deported illegal alien that rammed into her son on the roadways. And so this has massive consequences for our citizens. So you'll have that, and our guys would pull over, and they would do their normal thing. But if someone who didn't have a proper license was here illegally, you would call ICE under Biden, and ICE would basically not respond, or they wouldn't come and get these people. And so you're faced with this situation. They weren't authorized to bring them to ICE under federal law at the time. And so it was really frustrating. Now they're authorized to conduct immigration enforcement action. So our highway patrol in that situation, they see this person's violated traffic laws, they're here illegally, they bring them directly to ICE and they get processed and the law gets enforced. So it's really been a sea change since the Trump administration came to power in January. And so we've been doing these things. But the one thing that DHS kept telling us is, you know, you're apprehending illegal aliens faster than we can hold, process, and deport them. And they didn't have space. And so that was the genesis of us doing Alligator Alcatraz down in South Florida. Now, this was an airport that actually is used. It's used for a lot of training. But when they first built it, they actually had these visions of creating like the biggest airport that anyone, and that didn't end up happening. So you've got 2 miles of runway, you've got all this stuff that you need, and we were able to stand up this detainee processing and deportation facility in record time. So you've had now many, many hundreds that have already been processed out and that have been flown out of there, and they're doing more and more every day. And that facility can hold thousands of illegal aliens. So that was being done. We also said, you know, we have the ability to do more than that. DHS, in their agreement with us, because they're reimbursing these expenses, they anticipate up to 5,000. So we said, you know, you're going to probably need a different facility if you want to do that many. And I had mentioned publicly about using Camp Blanding in Northeast Florida. And there was a lot to recommend to it. It was close to Cecil Field, so you could run flights out of there pretty quickly. Blanding does have air capacity, but probably not a big enough runway to handle large planes. And ultimately, you know, you want to get 200 illegal aliens on a plane and fly them back to their home country. I mean, so you do need bigger planes. So we were looking at doing that. What would the build out look like? And I said, I'm prepared to move forward once I know we have a demand signal that this is going to be used and used very quickly. And so we have reached that point where I'm confident that we need additional capacity beyond what we're already doing down in South Florida. And so I've been working with Kevin Guthrie to authorize and to stand up a new facility. And of course, we were going to initially focus on Camp Blanding. However, as we started looking around and as Kevin was doing his due diligence, you know, there's a massive part here at Baker Correctional that is vacant, that isn't being used for any state correction activity. And so this, you talk about ready-made infrastructure, this was something that was very appealing from that perspective because it would require us to do a lot less in standing up than we would at Blanding and far less than we had to do at Alligator Alcatraz. Now, Alligator Alcatraz has the runway right there. That's a one-stop shop. I don't think you get any more convenient than simply carting people, you know, 2,000 feet away and get them on a plane, and then that's it. But here at Baker Correctional, we're right down the road from Lake City Airport. And so that is something that is good. That's something that's going to make a difference. So I'm here to announce today that we are authorizing and will be soon opening this new illegal immigration detention, processing, and deportation facility here in North Florida. We are calling this the Deportation Depot. It is going to be located here at Baker Correctional Institute. And again, the reason of this is not to just house people indefinitely. We want to process, stage, and then return illegal aliens to their home country. That is the name of the game. And that's what we do in Florida. We know that this is an important national priority, not only of President Trump, but of the American people. Of all the issues in the election, I can tell you this immigration and border issue was either the top or right near the top on all people's minds. And so we have identified this location. It'll be able to hold more than 1,300 illegal alien detainees. You will have the same services that you have at Alligator Alcatraz. Costs will be reimbursed by our federal partners. And as I mentioned, Lake City Airport's just right down the road. It's 15 minutes away. This is something that the Division of Emergency Management worked very quickly on. This will be operational soon. It's not going to take forever, but we're also not rushing to do it right this day. They're doing what they need to do to get it done in all deliberate speed. So I'm proud of them for their work. Florida's making a difference. This is a priority for the people of our state. It's a priority for the people of this country. And I don't want to see any more angel moms in Florida like Cayenne who lost a loved one because the laws weren't being enforced. We have an administration that's committed to doing that in Washington, and no state has done more to support that effort than we have in the state of Florida. Now, we're going to hear from a number of folks. One guy I'd like to bring up now, we just had an event in Tampa on Tuesday there at the team house. A lot of retired Green Berets were there to celebrate the appointment of one of their own as Florida's lieutenant governor. Florida is now the only state in the country where both the governor and the lieutenant governor are military veterans. I mean, probably 50, 60 years ago, it would have been hard to find a state that didn't have that. Times have changed. But Jay Collins served for 23 years. He was a Green Beret involved in special forces. He was wounded in action, eventually lost one of his legs, and had the opportunity to retire with a medical discharge, medical retirement. But he re-upped and served with a prosthetic leg for additional 5 years as a Green Beret. That's not something that's normal. He's also, in his private capacity, been involved in disaster response through his OBR group. And when we have hurricanes, he's there immediately providing sustenance to displaced residents, first responders, and has been very strong in terms of those operations. He was a state senator for a number of years and was responsible for really key policies like our legislation to ban China from purchasing farmland or any land in the state of Florida, supporting the bill that we did in immigration to really hold illegal aliens accountable and help the federal government with deportation. He's been a strong advocate for veterans, and has just been an incredibly productive elected official. And then you have things like the Israel-Iran conflict, the 12-day war, and we had Floridians over there, and as we do, we step up. People needed a way out of Israel. The airport was closed. There were rockets and ballistic missiles raining down. And so I authorized, and Kevin Guthrie implemented rescue missions to be able, and we brought thousands of people out of Israel. We had many, many hundreds that were brought back on flights that we arranged for them, mostly out of Cyprus. And that was great, and people really appreciate it.